Hello, Flosstube.
Greetings.
I'm Laura.
I'm Joe.
Welcome to the Slovak Farm.
This is the farm where we grow cross stitch.
One stitch at a time. I feel like we're very shifted this way. We're not. It just feels like that. Because I don't think the dining room table is centered on the windows.
No, that isn't centered on the windows. Because the chair was in the way.
Yeah, but I also don't think the dining room table is exactly centered on the windows. Sorry. This is where my brain is at today. Happy Monday.
Honey, I hate to break it to you, but your brain's teleporting all over God's creation.
My brain is everywhere. It is Monday, March 13th.
The true evil 13.
Forget Friday the 13th. Monday the 13th is horrible.
Well, it's Monday the 13th after daylight savings time. The only reason I'm not a zombie is I took today off for completely unrelated, didn't even know daylight savings time was here, but it worked out beautifully.
Joe took the day off so we could go get our taxes done.
Yeah, unfortunately, our tax place still works the same hours I do. It's a problem.
It's fine. We got this taken care of. We got it taken care of. It's done. Taxes are done. It's the middle of the afternoon, so we're filming early. And we'll enjoy our evening. So, hopefully y'all had a good week last week and a good weekend. We had a lovely weekend. We had the board for the Needlework Guild over for our start of the year board meeting. Our first Needlework Guild meeting will be in April 7th. We are super excited.
Yeah, funny story. We moved one of we put away one of the holiday decorations. We had it set one spot and then we moved it to a different spot. And, well, the fake needles on it decided it hated it and went everywhere.
No. Okay. Hold up. First of all, rewind this story just a touch. I have this lovely, it stands like ground to its height about here. It's a lamp post and it has two evergreen tree shaped wood cutouts. When I purchased it, I purchased it the first Christmas we were in our house in Elyria 12 years ago now.
I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah, it's that old. And it might actually even be older, because I might have actually bought it when we were still in the apartment in Wellington. So it had fake greenery wrapped around the evergreen trees with string lights. Very lovely. It's this tall. I always had a place to store it in our house in Elyria because our third story attic space was full-size rooms.
With really nice full-size closets.
I don't have that space over here. So since we've moved, it's actually been sitting by our front door and it just sits there all year. And I finally was like, well, I need to do something with this since I can't put it away. To make it a little less Christmassy. So I put it up on the stair landing where our stairs go up and then turn and then take a couple more steps up. Then I proceeded to ask my mother her opinion on how we can make it a little less Christmassy. My mother goes up there and she goes, well, what about the greenery? I said, I'm going to pull all the greenery off. Next thing I know, my mother is yanking the greenery off of this thing.
I did not know this part.
We're taking the bow off because they had Merry Christmas bows on it. Taking the Christmas bows off of it. My mother is yanking the greenery off of it, and there is greenery everywhere on the little landing because it's like 12 years old. We had one interesting mess to vacuum up.
And I tried using a little vacuum I have that's lighter. Because the big vacuum's complete until it wouldn't work for that anyway.
It's just heavy and cumbersome to move around.
So I did the guy thing and got my shop vac. It has a brush attachment. But, oh my god, cleaning that up with the brush attachment was a royal pain in the butt. And then because I wound up using the thing for everything, and I'm like, you know what? If I wasn't tied down with this cord, I could literally just vacuum a whole house, wall, ceiling, everything.
Well, you use that little portable vac for down here because we didn't want to. We have Abyssal. It's an Abyssal regular like upright vacuum we got when we first got married. It's actually in really good shape because the house in Elyria had hardwood floors, so it didn't take that much wear and tear. I don't even know where we picked up this little blue. It's not even really a stick vac.
Walmart.
It's like a stick vac from before.
I got it because unfortunately the Bissell has no way to turn the rollers off.
Yes.
So I got the little. It's actually a Bissell too, by the way.
Oh, it is.
The little blue one's a Bissell, but it has no spinner parts to it, and it's actually one of the little hand guys. You put a handle in the back and a thing on the front, and it's great for hardwood floors to just pick up stuff so that you can Swiffer. Like you run this little blue thing, and then you run the wet jet Swiffer, and it was perfect.
It was great over in our old house, and it worked over here. It just didn't. It's not as effective because we have all carpet here at the moment. That's going to change before too long. Because one thing I found in the carpet after I had vacuumed, y'all, it is March. Christmas was how long ago? I found those sprinkles, and I know it was from a Christmas cookie because it was a freaking Christmas tree still in the carpet. And it was like one of those from a Loft House sugar cookies.
I wouldn't mind the carpet if it was one of those tight ones.
I hate this carpet.
But long story long.
Long story long.
I found a Shark hypoallergenic vacuum cleaner. My allergies are evil.
We have invested in a new version stick vac.
Yeah, battery powered, hypoallergenic. I looked there, I was like, can I spend $50 more for hypoallergenic? And she's like, okay.
It's not even so much the cord that bothers me with using our Bissell. It's heavy, so dragging it up and down the stairs is a pain in my butt.
Yeah.
And I have nowhere down here to store a vacuum.
Yeah, and like it's not very heavy for the shop vac, but it's
cumbersome.
Big.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily the shop vac's not that heavy because if you want to have the shop vac light, empty it. It's literally a plastic bucket with a little lid and an engine. That's a shop vac, people. So
we went from Saturday going, we really need to look into getting a more up-to-date stick vacuum to we have purchased one today.
I found one for $100 off.
How does this happen to me? Let
me look for it?
This is true. We go from, we should look for that, to, let's buy it.
In all honesty, I wouldn't have asked if it wasn't $100 off of a hypoallergenic one.
This is probably true.
Because that's my main thing. I have bad allergies, and the shop vac is not the best thing for my allergies.
And just let me just tell you, all you youngins out there, welcome to middle age. You get excited over buying a new vacuum. We just spent,
I'm not going to say I don't want to
7 minutes talking about buying a vacuum.
Yep. Well, I found it secondary.
The story behind why we decided to get a new vacuum is kind of funny, though, because my mother was just up there. She is just pulling the greenery off, and I'm going, there's this everywhere.
And then I had to clean the darn stuff up, and it was a nightmare, and it irritated me.
And she looked at it, she got all done. She hands the greenery to me, and I take it downstairs and throw it away. After I get to the bottom of the stairs, Dad goes, you should have just taken a bag up there. I go, wouldn't have helped. My mother goes, oops, I made a mess. Thanks, Mom.
If I was here, I would have done something, and she probably would have done it laughing her butt off.
Here's the vacuum. Clean it up.
I would have went and got the shop vac. And she would have used it to clean it up because she did the exact same thing to me when we were living with her. I made a mess. She handed me the sprout. I was like, you gonna do something about this? I was like, I have no idea where you keep this. She walked up, handed it to me. I was like, I guess I'll clean it then.
Yeah. I do need to finish pulling the lights and stuff off of it and paint that little thing to make it... I just want to make it less Christmassy.
Yeah. And also the new thing should help because it also it actually has a attachment for actually cleaning the top of your tables.
Nice. Yeah, you showed me that. That'll be nice. Okay, enough about our new vacuum. Like, why are we spending all this time talking about vacuuming?
Because it had to do with a craft-tastrophe.
It was a craft-catastrophe. I wasn't going to actually pull it apart until I could take the thing outside and pull it apart. Because I kind of had a feeling it might fall apart because it was that old. So I was going to wait until it was warmer and take it outside and pull it apart and paint it.
Yeah, or you could just gone shopping and picked up a couple of sales circulars while you were there. And did it on top of those.
Yeah, well, I also didn't expect when I asked her for her opinion on it to end up getting taken apart.
How the frick did you not expect this? That is so in line with your mother, it's not even funny.
This is true. And you know, my dad said the exact same thing.
I love how me and him are on the same page.
He did. I was like, I just wanted your opinion. I didn't mean for you to go. He's like, it's your mother.
Oh, and a secondary side story. This one is going to be quick. I remember when she looked at me funny when I put the Bissell vacuum cleaner on our wedding registry.
Who asks for a vacuum for their wedding?
Hey, we were going to be going out we were getting married and going to be getting a new apartment soon after. You need a vacuum. Isn't that the entire purpose of the wedding registry? Is to prepare for your lives together?
It is. It is to prepare for moving into your own home together. And I do have to say, we very much followed that tenure of asking for things we needed, like plates and silverware.
We got 3 toaster ovens.
You know, small appliances and stuff like that. There are people who, with wedding registries, you look at them and go, seriously? Anyways, moving along. Why don't we shout out our commenters so we can move this along? Because we're now at 12 minutes and 16 seconds.
This is what happens when I'm filming in a wake.
Yeah, we moved the computers from in front of the camera to, like, over to the side so that hopefully when I go to hold up, it'll be a little bit easier when we hold up projects.
Also, we're not doing this the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay, is it already scrolled down?
Yeah, it's already scrolled down.
Cheap Girl Stitches, Andrea, Andre, Teresa, Susie Scott, Bridget, BD Stitcher.
That's it. Thank you guys for commenting on our video. Shall we move on to whips?
Okay.
Okay. Whips. Honey, I Shrunk the Husband. My chair was broke on the one side and it was starting to scratch my back, so I'm like, let's swap it with another chair that we had previously gotten fixed, and now I'm a little taller.
You're taller.
These chairs are...
How dare you?
Like, this dining room table is probably as old as I am, if not older. But it was my great aunt Ellie's, so I want to keep it somewhat. I'm getting to the point where replacing the chairs is more the option than trying to salvage them and just keep the tabletop. Alright, let us do whips. Poor Joey has no whippies.
Poor Joey's bug is currently cursing out my job. As I explained to the people at the Need to Work Bill, once they realized it, they went, oh. Most people stitch to calm down. I have to be calm in order to stitch. Otherwise, I make mistakes. And having to frog everything you do is the fastest way of making my bug leave for a month.
We don't want that.
Though it already has. Please, job, calm it down.
That is true. Hopefully your job will calm down. Alright, let's go into Laura whips. There's not a ton this week. You'll figure out why here in a minute. So I started off the week with Joe's Selection which is Erica Michaels' sampler book. This is actually back in print now. I can order it from my distributor, I think. Yeah. So this is the sampler book that has all of the pages that are different letters with specialty stitches with them. Oh crap. Hold please. Sorry about that. Okay, so I was working on the page for C and D, which is the cashmere stitch and the diamond ray stitch. As you can see, the letter C's are very, very light, and actually the D's are too. They do show up much better, like in person. You can actually see them. And I managed to finish the page with 492 stitches. Finished what I had left on the D block. I get asked this every time someone sees this. So you stitch it like this. It will get FFO'd together like this, and it makes a page.
Ready for my smart comment?
What?
It's cadmium.
What?
CD is the atomic abbreviation for cadmium.
Oh.
I knew there was a CD on the chart. Hi, I'm a nerd. If you haven't figured this out, hi.
So it'll go together like that, and then this will be your spine of your book. So I have A, B, C, and D done, and I had pulled this out because I had finished this. So I took this out of the little bag that I have it in, because I only have it in a small bag, and put it upstairs and forgot about it. Because I needed to pull the stitches to start E and F page, which I did. Here, as you can see, I've started the E block. So that was 324 stitches on it. Whatever that is total. So, and what's kind of fun about this is she gives you called for, it's all 32 count. She gives you called for fabric and flosses, but they're Rainbow Gallery Splendor Silks. Obviously I don't have those, but originally, so it was released originally, it was just the blocks with the stitches in it, was released through Rainbow Gallery's webpage as like a monthly series, and then she put it into this format to give you the finishing instructions for the book, and the labels for each of the stitches is in here. But in here she says, you know, just stash dive if you want, which is definitely what I'm doing. As long as you stick to the same count fabric, it doesn't matter. What?
You remember the show DuckTales, right?
DuckTales, woo!
I just pictured you two doing a Scrooge McDuck into his pile of money as a stash dive.
I mean, probably not wrong.
I'm sorry, but now that's just making me smile. Seeing a bunch of ladies with needles jumping into big things of fabric and floss.
Okay. Technically, if you see part of the chart, you can still go on Rainbow Gallery and get the chart. That is what the E page looks like. So that's the page I'm working on, and it'll have the English stitch. The English stitch is the tree trunk. So I'm trying to cover the chart, even though technically, like I said, you can go on Rainbow Gallery's webpage and get the chart with the block without the label, or at least you could. Last time I looked, you could. So that was the first couple of days of the week, and then Joe picked out Merry Christmas, y'all, to work on. And as you guys may remember, I said when I worked on this back in December, the next time this comes out, I will finish it. Because all I had left to do was finish Christmas, y'all, and that peppermint rope border. I'm not finished yet. I did a total of 728 stitches on this. Used it for 3 of the One Hit Wonder Part 2 week prompts. Something with a repeating pattern, something that made me happy, and something that was a bit torturous. So obviously we have the peppermint border is a repeating pattern. It makes me happy because it's a boot and I'm a country girl. But the back stitch in this, which torture. So I have all of the white done on the rope. So could you hold this, please?
Can I give that joke?
What?
You know what I would say is torturous about this?
What?
Where's the other boot?
There's that too. So I finished up Christmas and y'all, and it's backstitch. I do have all of the white done on the border. It is very hard to see. It does not want to photograph well. And
once you get the back stitch, it'll pop right out.
It will. So the 728 stitches was like probably about halfway-ish, somewhere in there, down of the white on the rope. So all of the red, so like the second half of the white for the peppermint rope and all of the red I've stitched in today, because Friday I started something new with my friend Beth Ann. So I just put this down on Friday. You can put it down. I just put this down on Friday and was like, I'll come back to it this week. So I will finish it probably tonight. If not tonight, tomorrow, because it's really that close to being done. And I'll show you guys the finished product next week. But like I said, I did 728 stitches on it last week. So let us go into what I started with my friend Beth Ann. We have been chomping at the bit to start this due to supplier issues with getting me stuff in a timely manner. We had to put it off. But we finally started. Cottage garden samplings. Reindeer. I'll take it out of the package. I think the sun is... It's snowing a little bit here. It's not going to amount to much more than an inch. But I think it's causing enough reflection.
If it makes a freaking inch, it's not sticking to the roads. The roads are still puddled.
So we started the reindeer from Cottage Garden Samplings A Year in the Woods series. Beth Ann is stitching them all on one piece vertically with their season. I was going to do them all on one piece horizontally with their season. I didn't have a big enough piece of fabric. I didn't have time to dye another piece of fabric. I think I came up with another finishing idea for it that'll still give me that effect, but actually it'll be. But so I'm doing them all on individual pieces of fabric. It'll be fine. And actually, my idea for finishing it will make switching it out for the seasons much easier with where I want to put it. So I did 467 stitches on this on Friday. This way. So this is going to be his shoulder area. And this is on a piece of, wow, that fabric looks awful. Okay, that's better.
I thought it looked good.
As you can see, it is not as strikingly... It looked very green up close. It's a winter blue color. It's like a winter blue color. Yeah, so... And yes, I can repeat this. It doesn't have a name, though. It doesn't have a name because I literally flung it together for this project out of a couple different things that I had. But I can, in fact, repeat it, so.
Want me to name it? Slushy.
Slushy.
It's a bunch of random stuff thrown together.
Yeah, but I do that quite frequently with fabrics.
Oh, okay.
I'll come up with a name for it. Before I stitch on this again, I'll come up with a name for it. Because I'm going to use this color for other projects. Especially winter projects. Because it's a nice winter sky, winter night, winter sky. I gotta think about this for a second. I just had a thought. It's not going there. But it's not forming in my brain. Okay, so that brings us to the weekend. And as you guys know, most weekends I stitch on my Daily 30 Olympics piece. Oh, I used the reindeer for a prompt for the new week, which is International Women's Week, which I wrote. So we'll be sharing that in plans. So for my Olympics piece, Joe could choose between Belle and Rosewood Manors, O Feathers, and he selected O Feathers. He's so pretty. I am doing this with the sulky threads. I can get the chart, I cannot get the sulky threads. I think there's a conversion that exists somewhere to DMC. Bloop.
Blop.
I did 832 stitches on this over the weekend, which is actually kind of impressive considering we were so busy on Saturday. And yesterday was a slog because of time change and I didn't sleep. So I finished this circle and this flower. And that is 832 stitches. It does go relatively fast. You only use one strand of the sulky thread. The only downside is the sulky threads are on spools. So putting it like extra floss back, I'm sure you can figure it out, but I'm lazy. So I just took some Ada and I have different needles for each thread color.
I love you.
And yes,
That's
it's a mess
awesome.
right there. It's what works.
And that's that was that thing. That was awesome.
Yes. So that has been my stitching for this week.
I got the question of the day.
Okay, go for it.
Does anybody have any tricks in finding a long lost bug? No.
New start. No.
I have new starts. I don't want to start them.
What's your least complicated project? Probably one of the elemental dragons.
Yeah.
See if that'll work.
So I thought of one other thing I need to talk to you about. That's part of the problem with those specifically.
Okay.
So we'll go to the next section by guy ask her a quick question.
Well, we have no haul. So we'll go to plans and announcements. Plans and announcements.
I'm going to try to organize my sanity and see if anything... I'm going to organize, go through all my stuff, put it all together, and see if anything inspires me.
Excuse me. There we go. It's a good plan. I think it's a good plan. Sometimes
see.
getting organized does help. It does.
Because right now it's a crapshoot.
Yes. So Wednesday, April. No. Reverse. Wednesday, March 8th was International Women's Day. A day to celebrate women. So I wrote prompts to go with International Women's Day about historical women that are not famous. Because that's how I roll. I think there are people who did not appreciate that. I think there are people who thought my prompts were a little challenging. I like challenging prompts. So, my International Women's Day prompts. The first one is Caroline Herschel. So, Caroline was born in Germany in 1750. And she served in King George III of England's royal court as a royal astronomer. She actually ended up in England because of her brother. Her brother went to work for King George III, and then she worked for King George III. In her life, she discovered where is it? She's the first female astronomer to discover a comet, and she discovered a nebula. She discovered a new nebula and 8 different comets, being the first female to discover a comet. And she did actually become the first paid female astronomer, because after her brother's death, King George III gave her a royal pension. So the prompt is to stitch on something you can connect to a nebula or a comet, and explain the connection.
Just ouch.
What?
It's a very niche, not very popular subject for cross-knit.
There's alternative stitches you can do.
I apologize for everybody on her behalf. As her husband, I am sorry.
I thought it was creative.
It is creative. I'm going to just put space. I love you.
Because we're going to get to space here in a minute. Okay. Dr. Mary Edwards Walker lived during the U.S. Civil War. She was the first female surgeon employed by the United States Army. Although she did not when she originally volunteered, she was not accepted because she was a woman. She did end up getting called into service as a civilian surgeon with the 52nd Ohio Infantry. After the war, she is the only female to be awarded the Medal of Honor. And she is one of 8 civilians to have earned a Medal of Honor. She also fought for women's suffrages and women's rights because shortly after she earned her Medal of Honor, they actually stripped her of it, saying that a woman didn't deserve a Medal of Honor or some stupid stuff like that. They did end up reinstating it posthumously.
Oh, that's bull crap.
I know. As bull junk. They did end up reinstating it to her and her family posthumously. And like I said, she is the only female to have ever received the U.S. Medal of Honor. The prompt for that is to stitch on a whip that you only have one of, either one of that particular designer or one of something with that subject matter. So, like, if you only had one pretty lady, that would work. That's what I used the reindeer on because it's the only cottage garden sampling pattern that I have. So it worked well for that. So, prompt number 3 is about the Sultana Hürrem from the Ottoman Empire. She was a legal wife of Suleiman the Magnificent. She entered the Ottoman harem as a slave. She was born in modern-day Ukraine. She was the daughter of a Ruthenian Orthodox priest, meaning she was Christian when she first was kidnapped and taken to the Ottoman slave market. Let's be real, the woman was kidnapped. The child was kidnapped because she was 17 when she was kidnapped. And taken to the Ottoman slave market. That's where she went into the Ottoman Empire harem. And through that, she really did influence some changes in the Ottoman Empire, because up until that point, it was the model of one woman, one son. So once a concubine or they have a lot of very weird names for the women in the harem. But once a concubine had a son, no matter how much the Sultan liked her, she would never bear him another child. That actually changed with Harem because Suleiman had that deep of feelings for her. She ended up having 5 children, 4 sons and 1 daughter. And one of them did become Sultan, even though there was a son older. That is some drama. And if you want to see real life Game of Thrones, go read up on the Ottoman Empire, because it is like the real life Game of Thrones, y'all. It was insane.
Can I be a smart arse? Would you like to know the actual definition of these poor women was?
They were slaves. They were sex slaves.
Yep, that's what they were. I don't care what you call it. That's what it was. Yes. They were slaves, and they were used for their vaginas. And
initially, yes, the Ottoman harem was very much the baby-making machine for the empire. Harem actually did suffer to sort of bring about a lot of changes for that. There's a whole lot more on it, but she is traditionally a woman who was brought into the harem as a slave would not be eligible to legally marry the Sultan. She married Suleiman. Suleiman legally married her. He did have children with other women after she had her children, but it was very much later in her life, after the point of where she could bear children, even. So he very much was dedicated to her. And it caused a lot of waves in the empire. And the funny thing is, I was listening to a podcast about Suleiman's reign, and the author of the book that the podcaster was interviewing said she influenced the Ottoman world, all while being unseen, because women in the harem could not be seen by any male except the eunuchs who served the harem and the Sultan. That was it. They rode around in completely enclosed carriages, so the people couldn't see them. The people never saw them. So the prompt for that is to stitch on a whip that did not start in high favor, but became a favorite project, and explain why it has become so cherished. I probably have a few that I could come up with for that. But so number 4 is the Chinese pirate Zheng Shi. She was forced to marry. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. The Chinese pirate Zheng Yi captured her and demanded she marry him. She said, "Okay, I'll marry you, but I get equal control of everything." So his pirate fleet, his assets, all of that. So when he passed away several years later, she gained control of his entire pirate fleet, which was the largest pirate fleet in the world. And the ruling Chinese dynasty at the time attempted several times to defeat the fleet and get rid of them, but they couldn't. So ultimately, they decided to enter an armistice with the fleet and negotiate them to stop being pirates. And that was what was successful. She was able to keep all of her money, huge chunks of land, and even a small fleet to do legal business with. So, and a lot of her sailors, went on to work with the Chinese dynasty. So, that one is easy. Stitch on your biggest whip.
By the way, honey.
What?
That's like in modern times, that would be hiring the hacker that broke into the Pentagon.
True story.
And that's happened more than once. There have actually been hackers who hack into stuff, leaving their resume.
Yes. All right. So the final woman on International Women's Day is Valentina Tereshkova. She was the first woman to enter space on June 16th, 1963. She was an amateur parachutist before she was recruited by the USSR to enter their space program because the USSR wanted so many people in their space program to potentially launch into space because they had to be the first person to get into space, to beat the US into space. They took women. And they took a sizable number of women because another woman shortly after Valentina's flight became the second official woman to enter space. Her space flight, her historic flight orbited the Earth 48 times, and she spent a total of 71 hours in space. She left the space program shortly after her historic flight. And that one is To Stitch on a Whip related to space. So, that is International Women's Day. I'm going to be honest. I don't know that I have a lot of things that fit with a couple of them, but I like doing prompts that are unique and you learn something.
I don't mind the prompt.
So I do have 2 projects that I have not stitched on in this little go round of stitch on everything before you start again. That is Cathedral Wood Goddess and Winter Solstice. What's your pick for me to stitch on after I finish Merry Christmas, y'all?
I was actually going to tell you to stitch Belle.
Well, Belle's going to get stitched on over the weekend because that is my Winter Olympic piece that needs touched.
So it's Winter Solstice or
Cathedral Wood Goddess. Do you need to see them?
Solstice.
Winter Solstice. So that's the red barn with the cardinals and the lamppost and the little saint.
Yep. Okay, that was not the one I was thinking of. Oh no, you finished the one I was thinking of. Okay.
What one were you thinking of?
The New Year's Fairy.
Oh yeah, I finished for a long time ago.
Does it change? Time doesn't work properly in my brain? The older I get, the harder it is for me to tell how long ago something was.
So, do you want me to do Winter Solstice or do you want me to do Cathedral Wood Goddess?
Winter Solstice.
Okay. Fair enough. That'll be what I work on after I finish. Merry Christmas, y'all. Alright, that is it for this week. It's probably going to be a long one. Apologize that it's probably been a long one. Thank you for joining us and spending a little bit of your time this week with us. What would we like the people to do?
Please like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, thingy me bobby, the whole YouTube spiel.
Thank you again for spending a little bit of your time with us this week. We hope you enjoyed and were entertained. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.
Bye!